Hello people, this is Ryder here to review The Legend of Armor Hero Flame Dragon Summoner. So you might be wondering, Ryder, didn't you already cover this earlier this week? We did, but you didn't hear. I specified the title of this one as The Legend of Armor Hero, despite it not saying here. I think it does. But yeah, so in between the Armor Hero Captor King movie and the first season of Armor Hero Hunter, they did a recap series which recapped the events of the first series to Captor King, because I think from what I've gathered, the whole intention of this recap series was to canonize all the shows into one continuity, despite the fact the first series, Light and Shadows, and XT are connected. Lava and Captor were independent from those other two shows. So this recap series was supposed to canonize all of them together until Star Ray threw that out. But I mean, I think it's kind of obvious they're all connected, especially what Hunter and Star Ray are. Star Ray is like an implication, but like Hunter is like, yeah, they're connected. Anyways, here we have the box, which is definitely a lot larger than the re-release, which is interesting. Obviously, this is the second version of this device to have ever been released. As you can see, the copyright is of 2017, because I think that's when that series aired. So so again, I apologize. It plays sounds, it lights up, and you can move things. Oldie, and then we have Dragon Man right there. I don't have my phone on me because I'm moving footage out. So we got the name of the product. I don't know what this is. And overall, the box design for the Legend of Armor Hero lineup or toys is really sleek. I really do like them overall. I think this is a seal of approval. Let's go over here. As you can see, again, we get another shot of Dragon Man about to perform a finisher. I don't know what this QR code's for, but then again, this site's pretty cool. Because this year, 2017, wasn't an anniversary for Armor Hero, because Lava was already an anniversary. Armor Hero was 6 years old at this point, but as you can see from here, what I think is really cool about this side is that obviously it has the silhouettes of all the Armor Heroes up to this date and such, so I will summarize it. But this comprises of the armors, the majority of the armors from Armor Hero Lights, the Battle of Lights and Shadows, and Armor Hero XT. And then here we have Emperor Hero from the first series. Then we have these 6 from Armor Hero Lava, and the rest of these 7 are from Armor Hero Captor and such, because Captor himself has 5 forms: Captor King, and then Ultramax. And then the back just tells you what it does and such. Again, I still like the back design carries over from the side. We have a reverse image of Dragon Man from the side, and then we have all the other toys in this lineup and such. So basically, unlike this release, the Emperor Hero belt and the Mars Summoner are miniature-sized re-releases of what they were originally back in that toy line, or their respective toy lines. And Eagle Man's main weapon, I think, gets a new paint job. Most of these have new paint jobs. And then this is the main weapon that Mars obtains through his power-up farm and such, to which I think from what I've... Apparently, this never got a toy release, but I assume it had to been, because none of these toys, for the most part, are new molds. So, yeah, sorry for going on about that. It's just, I don't think I'm going to get any other stuff from this sub-line. Alright, so here we are again with the Flame Dragon Summoner. So, the contents are kind of similar. We have the summoner itself alongside the same wrist strap. However, I actually have positive things to say about this one. And the fire crystal. So, let's just go over them one by one. So, yeah, in a weird decision, they made it red? The silver, what used to be silver plastic, or gray plastic from the 2009 one, is now red. And, I think that's the only difference. I didn't really look at reviews for the original 2009 one, because I have to go through Billy for that, but I forgot to turn it off. Other than that, the buttons here are transparent red. Like, honestly, even despite that, like, I do think the full-on red is pretty neat. This outline here is now gold, but the flame design here is still gold. It's just silver and gold that are painted. Everything else is red. Like, you know, it's like a fun kind of tacky, to say it. As you can see from here, hopefully, this does say 2017, and this still has the oldie trademark and such. This still has the keypad, though I don't know why the plastic here got damaged. So weird. But yeah, the blank keypad is very off-putting, and this is so interesting. Just this entire slot for the crystals, just candy red plastic. It's kind of endearing. And then you can see something there, but we'll get to that later. I think we're wasting time. Let's just compare it. Alright, we'll turn that off for now. Comparing it to the 2023 release, so this was 5 years. So this was 6 years after, 6 or 7 years after this release. Yeah, it's definitely a choice. Really, the only thing that makes this one severely stand out is just the gold here instead of silver. Other than that, they just removed accents, and I forgot to mention this, obviously. This is now, the lens here is now like a tinted red as opposed to just a clear plastic. And I think I tried to convey this in the demo, but I think it failed. But, again, this is not even painted either. So, what I try to convey is that I believe the shield piece for the 2023 release is an entire new mold. or it's like modified. Yeah. Yeah, I think this actually specifies it, but this is the 2023 version actually got a new mold in terms of this piece, because as you can see here, this is just white plastic while this is black plastic, but because this is taller than this. So this one's more proportionally accurate. This one's a bit more longer, but again, I think the differences definitely are just the proportions for this and such, because you can definitely tell the flames are entirely different. So that is kind of neat to know that they actually went through the they actually went through the effort of remolding this piece for this release. Obviously, you no longer have the black down here, and the inside's a lot more apparent. But yeah, that's kind of it. Taking a look at the strap, again, it's the same strap from the 2023 release, which I think essentially is the same strap from the 2009 release. However, this one doesn't fray, which means it's so much easier to apply. Luckily, I guess luckily, because this one's not painted, the base of this one's not painted, I don't have to be fearful about, like, losing, or, like, you know, this thing scrapping. Though, like, this one gets stuck here. So that's kind of annoying because of this string. But yeah, again, if you didn't watch this one at the beginning of the week, you want to pull this out until all of this is out, and then you want to loop this hook right there, fold it in like so, and then fold it completely like that, and there it is on your wrist. Wrist. Yeah, again, it's still, like, it still feels nice in the hand. This one, I think I put on less tightly, but, I feel like this one definitely spills over a bit more. I didn't really mess with this one as much because I was afraid it was going to be the same process as this one, but luckily, I like the strap here exhausted. But, yeah, other than that, it feels really nice on the wrist. One of the things I also forgot to mention is it's just funny how this thing gets put on in the show. Because in the show, if I remember how this gets folded in, obviously, because this thing's a phone, they obviously put it on, like, so they hold it like this, but they put it on the wrist upside down. But then, obviously, because they cut the stock footage of the strap wrapping itself around, then it all of a sudden goes like this. It's just kind of funny. Then we have this releases Fire Crystal, which it goes in line with the device itself. However, I think except for this piece, this is how the original 2009 Fire Crystal was. It was just translucent red with the dragon printed on. Again, I'm not sure about the white nub, but yeah, it's definitely, it definitely looks nice overall. Until you compare it with the 2023 release, excuse me, 2024 release. Yeah, they updated the dragon. So this is the original design for the dragon, which is actually more accurate towards the Emperor Hero Belt version, especially because it doesn't even fit the design. But yeah, there's definitely a difference between red plastic and orange plastic. So yeah, again, pretty interesting overall. I put away the ball chain necklace, but you can still loop it and such. And again, this one's at least easier. I guess if you wanted to, you can put on the black one. We're just trying to stretch this out so much. I'm not even trying to, it's just there's lots to cover here. So let's move on to what this thing actually does. Just like the 2024 release, because again, you have to keep in mind this is the second release of this toy. This thing also not includes requires two AAA batteries. We have an on and off switch right here, and it lights up red. Sound button does not do sounds. It just clicks. I'll do that again so then you can actually see the LEDs. So it flashes. And unfortunately, this is where the biggest flaw of this toy comes in. When we actually try to use the crystal in this thing. So again, I'll pull this out. Because again, show accurately, they pull this off of their necklace and such and slot it in. Again, if you've not watched this video at the beginning of the week, to transform into Dragon Man, you again pull the nub off the crystal, you slot the crystal into this circular disc like so, and then you click it down for it to slot in like so. And then what's supposed to happen is that it's supposed to play the transformation sound when you press the crystal section down alongside sliding the shield up. However, this is the sound it plays when you don't have anything inserted, which is actually different from this release, because with this release, when you don't have anything inserted, it just plays the sound. So again, we'll try this again. Sorry for blocking that. That's the sole sound you get for transformation. And as you can see from here, I do like the tinted red lens. It does make it hard to see the actual crystal though, because everything is red. But when you're transformed, when you press the sound button, it lights up. Like it's it's like this I don't remember what you call this, but it's like very tinted. Not tinted, but like not milky either. But it's like it makes it really difficult to see. Like, and that's not really a that's not like, I don't have a problem with it. It's just really interesting. But again, it's just everything here is just so red, so it kind of, your eyes kind of lose sense of like where you're supposed to go and such. But yeah, it just lights up red. So I will put this back on and such because just so that I can actually take it out easily. So let's try doing that again. you can at least see the LEDs going off and such. I did it again because I need to explain the sound. So, what's interesting about this one is that it's kind of ripped straight from the show, because you have the BGM track, you have the actual show accurate sounds, and we have the voice of, I'm not gonna call him Eric. I want to try to be at least faithful to the fans. I apologize for that, but I'm gonna go with Sinan, because I assume X's are supposed to be S's in Mandarin and such, but like it does have his voice, or his dub voice in here and such, and that was kind of ultimately the reason why I picked it up. But obviously, the thing kind of holding it back from making that sound perfect is the fact that the Kaija Huti sound is just completely inaccurate. I don't know where they pulled that sound from. So, that's unfortunate. You can still try to use your later releases on this. I'll try to turn off the lights so then you can actually see it. And immediately, you can just see how much better this version's crystal just pops out, because of it not being just translucent red. It kind of gets washed out here, but honestly, it puts a cool silhouette when you light it up. And then, if we were to use the die-cast one, I'm sorry that I'm constantly playing that. I just really like it. And then for the fun of it, let's use this release's fire crystal in the recent release. Like, obviously, I forgot to point out too, obviously the light patterns here are just kind of like rapid and just like flash and such, while this one actually does coordinate itself with the sounds of, coordinate the sounds to this thing and such. But now, luckily, it didn't get demonstrated much, because this actually cooperated. But unfortunately, the thing that kind of holds this toy back, and I assume the original toy, is that, as I mentioned before, there's a button in the crystal slot, to which, when we take a look at the 2024 release, that button is not present. Now, at first, you might think that's a downgrade and such, because, again, now this thing no longer knows whether or not you have a crystal in, while this one actually does and such. However, this button, I think this might be my fault, because this button here is actually starting to work, which is actually surprising. There. This button, I'm glad it's actually working again, but what I was going to say is that I was actually having issues with playing with this, because it kept thinking I did not have a crystal inserted and such, because this section here holds that button down when you load it in, which is why which causes it to do that. But luckily, I'm not having that issue anymore. But I still want to bring out a disclaimer about that, of just, you know, just be wary about that inner button malfunctioning and just not reading the crystal, because it was kind of annoying, especially for like the short I filmed. It took several tries until it actually acknowledged that I did have a crystal in. Because yesterday when I initially came down here to like film that short, it was not working at all properly. And I was kind of afraid that I was like, oh shoot, I'm gonna need to get a replacement because this thing is just not working. I went through the effort of like reopening this thing again, just like this one, to which I forgot to. I knew I forgot to mention something. I'll record it after. I opened it up to see if something was up, but like it looked fine. And I thought like it was a lost cause, but like luckily it does seem like it's working again, so that's good at least. I think if you want to see this thing not really working as well, then watch the demo. But yeah, overall what I think about this particular release of the Flame Dragon Summoner, it's not needed, but I think it's a really interesting item. Especially for a recap series. Obviously, it makes sense to get a version of this toy out that is at least closer to the show by including the character voice in it and, you know, sounds from the show, such as the BGM and such. Again, I just don't know why the Kaija Hoodie announcement is not accurate. You heard the accurate one, so it's kind of weird that it's now different and such. And like, again, I think for this entire thing being red could be considered really overwhelming, but I think it's fun. It definitely does less than the eventual 2024 release. And I'm still gonna say, go for that one over this one. This is just more of, why not? To which I think this is where I want to get into that this is not the only way of getting this toy. Because there's actually 3 ways. I got the first way, which is just this thing by itself. The second way this was released was through, it's basically the same set, but you get a mini figure of Dragon Man. I did not want that figure. And then the third release is basically what you got within that second release, but you also got his main weapon, the flame sword and such, which was newly updated to not rely on the skill card scanning and such, and again has show accurate sounds by doing some motion sensor stuff. So honestly, if you were to get this, I would just say get the set version. I'm just very particular. So I just genuinely only wanted this itself. I did not want other things and such. Because the thing is that it doesn't really drive up the price that much. I think the full set version, the full Dragon Man Arsenal version, is like $25. This release and the one with the Dragon Man figure are the same price as this release, which is why I will say, if you had to choose one or the other, go for the 2024 release. But if you're like me, and for some reason really like collecting stuff from recap show toy lines, sure, this is, I want to say, the pinnacle of a novelty release. Like, there are other releases within the Legend of Army Hero toy line that are probably more worthwhile, mainly the weapons, but because I don't think the summoners are really that recommendable, which is why I'll say this is kind of the only recommendable summoner out of that toy line. But mainly, you're kind of buying into that line for the weapons or just like the small figures and such. But yeah, I'll have to do this. That'll have to do with this review. This is Ryder, and I'll leave you people. Bye.